I made $180,000 a year but went bankrupt pretending to be successful. I used to think bankruptcy was something that happened to irresponsible people who didn't budget, who bought too many handbags or leased a BMW they couldn't afford. Then it happened to me, a 34-year-old marketing director making $180,000 a year with a resume full of blue-chip companies and a LinkedIn profile that practically glowed. I didn't look broke. I lived in a modern apartment near downtown Austin with high ceilings and a Peloton. I posted vacation selfies from Lisbon and had a six-figure job that paid me to own the brand narrative. But I was drowning in debt. And I didn't tell a soul. Not my friends, not my parents, not even my boyfriend. My name's Rachel. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Middle class, stable, nothing fancy. My parents paid off their house, packed me a lunch every day, and told me to go to college so I'd never have to worry about money. I graduated with $38,000 in student loans, moved to Dallas for my first job, and got my first credit card. A Chase Sapphire. It came in a matte black box and made me feel important. I used it for a starter work wardrobe, then a flight home for Thanksgiving, then furniture. I paid the minimum and told myself it was normal. By 29, I'd moved to Austin, gotten promoted twice, and was making more money than I'd ever dreamed. I thought I was winning. I had no idea I was building a life I couldn't actually afford. The problem wasn't one big purchase. It was 1,000 small ones. Dinners out, Airbnb weekends, dog grooming, subscription boxes, bar classes, wedding gifts, Uber rides. I told myself it was self-care, that I deserved nice things after how hard I worked. But by 33, I had 5 credit cards, $11,000 on a personal loan, $6,000 in back taxes, and a car lease I couldn't break. And somehow, I still believed I was good with money. Until the day my Amex got declined on a $2.99 coffee. It wasn't even a dramatic moment. I just stood there, blinking, while the barista awkwardly smiled and asked, "Want to try a different one?" I handed over a Visa. It worked. I left the shop like nothing happened, but something shifted. That night, I opened a spreadsheet. I listed every debt, interest rate, balance, due date. Total, $86,417. Liquid savings, $412. I stared at the numbers like they were a language I used to speak. I felt ashamed, not because I owed money, but because I'd worked so hard to build an image that wasn't real. The next day, I called in sick. I didn't cry, I didn't panic. I just sat on my floor, laptop open, Google Sheets glowing, and asked myself a question I hadn't let surface in years. Why did I keep pretending? Because that's what it was. Pretending. I wasn't addicted to shopping. I didn't have a gambling problem. I was addicted to the illusion of having it all together. The aesthetic of adulthood, the skincare routine, the tasteful mid-century couch, the meal kit subscriptions and $20 natural deodorant, the career with a flexible WFH policy and Slack messages that said looping back instead of I'm freaking out. Underneath all that, I was afraid. Afraid people would think I was a failure if they knew I couldn't manage my own finances. Afraid I wouldn't be loved if I didn't look like I had my life figured out. I tried a financial advisor. He wore a Patagonia vest and used the word portfolio too much. He told me to cut out lattes and suggested a robo-advisor. I needed a fire extinguisher. He gave me a spreadsheet, so I hired a debt counselor instead. She was blunt, black, and ex-military. She looked at my numbers and said, "Rachel, you are not bad with money. You just spent 5 years trying to buy the life you thought you were supposed to have." She helped me negotiate settlements, close out accounts, build a budget that didn't involve shame. She told me the scariest thing I'd ever heard. You're going to have to let go of the version of yourself you were performing. Letting go was messy. I sold the Peloton, I broke my lease, and moved into a shared house with 2 grad students. I stopped going out, stopped ordering food, and unsubscribed from half the internet. Friends noticed. Some stopped inviting me to things. Others texted confused question marks. I didn't explain. I just kept going. Then I did something radical. I told the truth, publicly. Not on Instagram, not in a healing journey post. I emailed 5 friends, real ones, and wrote, "I've been lying about my finances. I'm $80,000 in debt. I'm working on it, and I'm okay. Just didn't want to pretend anymore." Every single one of them replied. Every single one of them confessed something they'd been hiding too. Turns out we were all pretending. Once I broke the silence, something shifted. I started noticing how many people around me were performing the same polished life. New Teslas, destination weddings, brunches with professional lighting. But behind the gloss, quiet desperation, credit card floats, quiet layoffs, parental bailouts, emotional landmines disguised as Pinterest boards. This wasn't just my secret. It was cultural. We're a generation raised on lifestyle marketing and side hustles, taught that self-worth is measured by productivity and net worth. We curate everything but the balance sheet. I wasn't alone, but I had been isolated. Bankruptcy wasn't my first plan, it was my last. After a year of scraping and cutting and negotiating, I still couldn't keep up. Interest kept compounding. The IRS came knocking. My boyfriend left. He said it was too heavy. He wasn't wrong. Filing was humiliating. The form alone made me feel like a criminal. The court hearing lasted 6 minutes. The shame lasted much longer. But after it was over, I walked out of that courthouse and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Clean, not proud, not fixed, just honest. Finally honest. Today, I make less money. I left corporate marketing and work in nonprofit communications. It's not sexy, but it pays the bills and doesn't require selling people a dream I can't afford myself. I live in a modest duplex, no roommates. I own my car outright. I have savings. I drink drip coffee. I don't pretend anymore. I'm not ashamed of the bankruptcy. I'm ashamed it took me so long to stop pretending I was okay. Here's what I wish someone had told me before I ever opened that Chase account. You can't perform your way to financial peace. Making 6 figures means nothing if your identity depends on it. Admitting you're in trouble is the first sign you're not beyond saving.